It's not terrible, it's just not my flavor.
Yeah.
Survive.
You have 2 minutes. You can say if you want.
Anyone else come in? Sign in? Anyone, everyone sign in? I can't see that. I don't have it. I don't know why I wear a watch when it says 5 minutes to 9.
5:58 by the official Big Ben.
Mine's 11
It's almost
a.m.
right, Jim.
Mine's
It's
11
12
a.m.
minutes to 9. That clock just hasn't changed over there.
Tom, are you here for the setback?
For the
Yeah.
tight tank for
Yeah.
Nugget Drive.
You want me to turn the
The abutters, the setback is to the abutters, it's the town. The town owns a lot next door that owns the road. So. But we still have to have the hearing
with my wife,
because
I
it's
always
tight.
I always bring an extra jacket. She always says, I'll be fine. And she's freezing.
I'm always surprised.
What's that? Oh.
I don't
I'm talking
think
about
Mark
the
will
movies.
be
My
here.
wife, she's always
No, I
says
don't
she's
think
never
so.
cold. So I bring an extra coat anyway. And then she says, you got that coat? Let me know when you're ready, man. I'll turn this on.
Not quite.
We'll wait for the countdown.
Yeah, very right on the I's, T's, the whole thing. We're messing around.
No hurry, Jim. It's only 10 minutes at 9, so
That's true. I got plenty of time.
plenty of time.
I can leave.
I'm going to be gone over the weekend, next weekend. This
You are?
weekend. Yeah.
You and me?
Going to Vegas.
Oh, that's right.
I'll be back.
Should be nice and warm there.
It's like 109.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, I'll be inside.
Yeah, it gets down to about 85 at night.
Yeah,
So
we
I
know.
was there.
Okay, it is Tuesday, July 2nd at 6 p.m. We're at the Charlton Board of Health meeting. All board members are in attendance, as well as Jim Philbrook, the health director. And we also have our Title V, Tom Purcell, with us. First on the agenda, I guess we'll do the signing and the acceptance of the prior minutes. I don't know if they're floating around.
They are.
They're
They're
in
here.
there. It's quite a
I
bit.
signed them.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the June 11th minutes.
Should we wait for Matt to get through them?
I reviewed them online.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, minutes are approved. Okay, moving on. I guess we're going to go on to new business. So we have a variance request for a setback for a tight tank proposed at 181 Nugget Drive. Is there anybody here concerned with that tight tank at 181 Nugget Drive? Okay, Tom, how do you
Yeah, I'm
take
going
that?
to represent the town on this as well as the designer. What we have is a postage stamp lot. It's about a 50-foot lot at Nugget Drive on the far side. The only abutter is the town of Charlton. So as far as notification, the application is the notification. The best that they could do to set the 50-foot offset and to set a reasonable distance from the house and accessibility. It's on the water of Little Nugget,
Yes.
Little Nugget Lake, and the best place they could put it was right there. It's accessible. This is a year-round existing house, so we have to be able to get at it and pump it. The size is right. We have a 5-foot offset to the street line, and we have a 5-foot offset to the sideline. The sideline is owned by the town.
It's tight, huh?
And and I recommend that the board just would consider it or approve it. The tight tank.
Can I borrow this for a
Sure.
second? I'll just send you
There's a bigger picture of.
Watch out for your drink.
It's how all the prints out, the big coffee stain on it, don't worry.
I'm just worried about your little statue there.
So, right here's going to be the Nugget Drive. Here's
Right.
the tank, existing house. So it's a tight tank. So I mean, obviously a septic is leach fields out of the question. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know if either one of you have a comment with it. Have a comment about it. But
I don't
One-
have a comment.
One thing that I will follow up with the engineer is before it gets put in as part of the certificate of compliance. what they have to have is develop some method of frequency of pumping and arrange a contract with somebody
Okay.
to go in and pump it on an as-needed basis. And they have to have a site that it's going to be, the material is going to be delivered to, whether it goes to Upper Blackstone or down to Southbridge or whatever. Upper Blackstone has a discounted price for tight tank owners. They make a contract with the homeowner for discounted price. I'm not sure what the other sewer treatment plants do, but
Interesting.
they usually do cut a deal with, or cut some slack to the tight tank owners. They have no alternative but to do that.
So, through the chair,
Yeah.
what if the tank fills up before it's scheduled to be
Well, the alarm goes
the
off.
alarm goes off? Okay.
There's an alarm there, and what there is at least I think it's a 48-hour capacity left.
Okay.
It says 3/5.
So 3/5 of 2,000, when it's 3/5 full, that's when the alarm goes off.
And that usually will give them all the time, a couple of days
Time to
anyhow.
get it emptied.
There's no outlet on the tank except it would overflow
Yeah.
or back up into the house.
How many gallons per day for an average household?
Well, I think this is a two-bedroom house.
Right,
I was
The
looking
two-bedroom house would be 220 gallons a day.
okay.
And that's a 2,000-gallon tank, so there's 10 days capacity, and 40% of that is 800 gallons, which is about 4 days worth of time
Right.
for from when the alarm goes off. They get 4 or 5 days actually for pumping. There's a little bit of extra capacity in the head of the tank, so, and that's more than enough time for them to get somebody to pump it out. If for some reason they can't, or it should start to overflow or anything like that, they have to stop using it and they have to move out of the property. That's the way that the rules work on tight tanks.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the plan as indicated.
Second.
181 Nugget Drive. We have an approval. A motion to accept with a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that was unanimous. Sounds like a big tank, 2,000 gallons, until you say it's going to be pumped every 10 days, and it's like, ooh, it's not so big.
Actually it's one truck.
Yeah.
One of those pump trucks is they're 2,500 gallons, something like that, 53,000, but you can't fill them 100% anyhow.
So Tom, while we got you here, how's things?
Good.
Good?
Busy.
Busy? John's booming?
Number one in southern Worcester County.
Number one and number two business?
Number one and number two business.
Yeah.
We were on an inspection together today.
How many
Yeah.
permits do we have so far this year? Do you know? I mean, roughly. Curious.
We're at the 30?
20, 30?
30, I think, now.
Okay.
We usually end up with 60, 80.
Nah,
60.
the last few years it's been 50 or maybe, bumping 60.
Bump at 60 for different things, so.
But, yeah.
I've been
But
getting,
with all the inspections and everything, there's a lot of work here.
I've been getting some feedback from different contractors that are very happy with you. So
Thank you.
I appreciate what you're doing for the town. So
Thank you.
very much.
Put the $20 check in the mail.
Don't include that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
We try to be reasonable with them.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay?
You have anything for us?
Not really. It's a real pleasure to come to work here.
Awesome.
You have a well-run machine.
That's what we hear.
You really do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We're looking at Jim because he's the one in charge.
Jim and his two bosses that are here during the
Yeah.
day.
Well, I thank you for meeting me today. I spoke to him. I gave you his number. Give him a call, but he's very happy. So
Okay.
we'll see what we can do for him.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thanks, Tom.
Good evening.
it. Next on the discussion. Yes.
I'm going to just step out on this one.
Okay.
And I'll come back in after that's okay with you.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay? You're, all right.
Number second on the discussion was revoked food permit for Shuck's Food Truck.
That's us.
You want to come on up? You can
Yeah,
sit
sure.
back there, whatever
No, that's fine.
you'd like to do.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for coming to the meeting.
Oh, thanks for having us.
So, we understand that you had set up at Treehouse Brewery a couple months ago by now. It's been a
Yeah.
while. And so our health inspector, Jim, came to inspect the truck, and
Yeah.
for some reason, I don't know, our side of the story was there was a problem or something and you didn't want him to inspect it and whatnot. Jim called me that day and said he doesn't want us to inspect the truck, and I said, well, there's two things you can do. You can either let you inspect the truck or you can call it an early day, because it's a food product that you're serving to the general public.
Right.
So he, again, from what we understand, went back, come on in, check out the truck, and everything was fine. But I guess as that first incident unfolded, I guess Mr. Philbrook felt uncomfortable and thought it was inappropriate on the, I don't want to say attitude, but the conflict or whatever that you two may or may not have had. And he suggested that they pull your license. So I agreed to it, and basically the only thing I wanted to say to you about it was if he wants to inspect the truck, let him inspect the truck. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Besides that, I don't have a problem with it. I have no problem myself. I have no problem giving your license back or giving you the problem back with it. It's just one of those things. It's like getting pulled over by a policeman. Nobody likes it, but I live in that world. Sometimes I
Yeah.
do it twice in a day, and it's
Right.
terrible.
Yeah.
And it's the system, if you will.
Right.
But in the town of Charlton's defense, it's serving food to the general public, and he's got the right to take a peek
Yeah.
anytime he wants.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem. I personally thought 30 days was more than enough.
Yeah.
That time has come and gone. I don't know if Kathleen, you have any comments or.
I was just concerned about the amount of anger that was expressed towards Jim, and I was distressed by that,
Right.
and I don't understand it.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say in my defense, but we operate in a bunch of different municipalities. So I think when we came to Charlton, we were kind of under the understanding that once we pull an annual permit, we're inspected when we come in, which is usually how the other municipalities work, but everybody runs it differently. So the first year, I think, because we started with Treehouse in 2017, we saw Jim once or twice, but we came out there probably roughly around 8 times in that year. And then the second year, we saw him a couple times, but that was about it. The third time we saw Jim, we were there 5 times, we saw him 5 different times. So it was my understanding that when he came on, I was merely just requesting information about why we were being inspected so frequently. Now, certainly the fact that I don't know if it's out of line to say that I didn't feel like we were targeted, but it just felt like maybe because we serve what we serve is seafood and oysters and lobster rolls and whatnot, like that could be construed as serving it to a susceptible population, which is probably just me overthinking it. But at the same time, it kind of had my head scratching because there was other vendors there that weren't inspected as frequently as us, and then so I am at fault for expressing myself in a way that wasn't professional, that we always usually do. But at the same time, that's not, our reputation around is, that's not what we go about. That's not how we operate our business. So, I do apologize that it came across that way. That wasn't my intention. But at the same time, it just felt like it was, I just didn't understand why we were being inspected so frequently. He can come on anytime he wants. I totally get it. But just in that sense, it was just, I was taken aback, especially when there was other vendors that weren't being inspected. So in that case, that's all I'm going to say. And like I said, I appreciate you guys let me be able to say, what I think, my side. But again, we're here on Treehouse's permission, and we're here with Charlton, and we want to follow every rule that you guys set forth. So.
John, do you have anything? Or you
Well, I
guys-
think as long as the understanding, you understand that Jim can go there anytime you're in Charlton and
Yeah.
for business.
Of course.
He has the right, whether it's you or anybody else, any number of times, well, it could even be multiple times a day, depending on the weather and the circumstances. So as long as you understand that, I think, that's good.
And just, it's kind of off topic a little bit, but I have trucks in my work, and I own a company, and sometimes we get fuel same spot every morning.
Mhm.
They literally sit across the street, and as we get our coffee and go off, they pull us all in.
Yeah.
And it's like we've had like one time they saw something they didn't like, so they're there tomorrow, and then
Right.
and it kind of snowballs, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm definitely getting targeted. It's not a secret, and
Yeah.
and it's like it's what are you going to do about it? You just
Yeah.
try and do your best to stay
Yeah.
in compliance,
Yeah.
move forward, and then
Yeah.
what do they? They see it, and it's like a wave, and it's okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know what I did wrong, and whatever.
Right.
But any of
Yeah.
that. But moving forward, so I don't have a problem reinstating or letting his permit be valid at this point until it expires at the end of this year, and then reapply and all that. I don't have
Okay.
a problem with that myself. I personally thought 30 days was more than enough to just get your attention, if you will.
Yeah.
Kathleen,
Absolutely.
do you have a problem with?
Not really. I just want to say I've been on this Board of Health for almost 2 years, and I was on the Board of Health in Burlington, Massachusetts for 9 years. I was
Mhm.
on the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards. And it's our responsibility to make sure that the food is safe.
Right.
And
Of course.
so I have the utmost respect for Jim, and whatever he wants to do in terms of protecting the safety of food is totally fine with him, and because it's enormously important. So I'm okay with giving the license back, but I just it sounds like you are aware of. It doesn't matter what happens in other towns,
Yeah,
It's
it's
just,
what's here. Yeah.
we've got to do it the way we think is right.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
I know I don't want to speak for Jim, but I guess I will speak for Jim, but we discussed it a couple of times. He's not mad. It's in the past. He's
Yeah.
not out to get you. Moving forward, it's going to be here's a truck, here's the inspector, and there's no odd feelings against you or nothing like that either. So don't feel like, oh, here he comes. So
Yeah.
he's going to get me for a doorknob.
Yeah.
That's not
Well,
not the case.
Yeah, and that's why I was surprised. Like, again, I think we kind of all said,
Moving on.
yeah.
Heat
it's,
stress. It could be a number
yeah.
of things. You're probably busy at the time too, which is like
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but is there do we have a motion to reinstate the applicant's permit?
I'll make a motion to reinstate Shark Food Trucks permit to operate in Charlton.
Is there a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you're back.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yep,
Thank
no
you very
problem.
much.
All right.
Yep. Take
Okay.
care. Thanks for
All right,
coming
thank
out.
you.
Yep. Okay, we have a lot going on, but I want to skip forward if we can to, I'd like to move forward to Agefoot Road and Berry Corner Road, because I know you guys are here, and
It's fine.
we can,
It's fine with me. Yeah.
so, we'd probably wait for Jim to come back in, but, from your side, how's progress, action happening?
They seem to be, they gave us a schedule, or they gave Jim a schedule, I think, with where they thought they would be at what time,
Mhm.
as far as the connections and the tie-ins from the road to the homes. And I think they took a different path. I think they went down to Eleanor Lane, and they're also working on Berry Corner. So they haven't come down the second half of Agefoot Road yet, but that's fine. They'll get there when they get there. The odors have been
Terrible.
pretty bad.
We seen them?
Yep, and you've seen the responses that they had. This morning I sat on hold for 8 minutes before the phone was even picked up by anybody. So Tracy did get involved with that and said, I did see her message after my meetings this afternoon, and said, not acceptable, we have to get that improved, which is exactly why our neighbors aren't calling. everybody else is, you know, smelling the same thing. I did, when I was on the phone this morning, I did hear them say to someone in the background, yep, your other neighbor is calling in right now too, so I know that I wasn't the only one calling in. But it's, people will say to me, you know, yeah, I smelled it too, but I just didn't call. I didn't have the time to sit and wait.
Right.
It's not a good enough excuse.
No, because I know you had like a 6-minute the other day.
Right.
8
right.
today.
I've got the timer on my phone, so I see exactly how many minutes and seconds I'm sitting on hold. I just, same thing, I left a little late for work this morning so that I could sit on hold to place the complaint. So, and this morning they said there was nothing. They said 0 for the smell. The other night was 4, and it really was that bad and worse. This morning was 0, and Mark said that he didn't see anybody around, so I was looking at the timing. There was about an hour delay between when I called and when they actually came out. So a lot happens in an hour.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that has been an ongoing issue as well.
Because I saw one of them, you didn't even put the time in there, too.
No, right.
So.
Exactly. The other thing is the water delivery. So we were scheduled to get water delivery on Monday. We happened to be home in between events on Saturday, and the truck was coming down the road. So we said, oh, God, we've got to get the bottles out, the empties out, because we weren't expecting them. So the representative came up the driveway, said a few things that they've been saying all along about, you know, geez, can't get the water line fast enough, and making some little side comments. But he came up and he said, well, we decided that rather than working on Friday the 5th, we'd work on Saturday, which is fine, but not everybody had their empties out. Our neighbor next door has had their empties out since Friday when they left for work, and they still haven't received any water. We did, and it seems like they just kind of stopped. So I checked tonight before we came up, and they still hadn't got any water. And the last 2 times they've received water, Poland Springs, I guess they seem to have been running out, because instead of leaving bottles of water, just plain water, they've left them cases of seltzer water, orange seltzer water. So think about that when you're brushing your teeth with orange seltzer water. Not convenient. And most, you know, some people don't like seltzer water, so that's an issue too. So they don't have enough in the truck. And again, it's Tuesday and they still haven't received their water. So we're going to share with them, but you know, it's an issue.
Do you know if they are on the like mandatory water, or if they were on the voluntary water program?
They may be on our very next door neighbors may be on the voluntary, because I think they've only had J-hits.
I'm
But
just curious.
there's other houses beyond us, and down at Eleanor Lane, they still haven't received their water either. In some of the houses, they saw the neighbors were down there, and they saw when they were taking a walk, there were empties out waiting for that too. So,
Well, I guess we'll.
Did Jim or did
Yeah, we'll give Jim the heads up. Are you?
Yeah.
Did you speak to Tracy about that today too?
I didn't speak to Tracy at all.
Get some water. Go ahead.
I
You
don't.
get him.
I just got the email that she responded, telling them to start getting on that. I got a meeting supposed to be today, so I didn't get a chance to respond back.
They haven't tied your house in yet?
No, they stopped at Ellie Lane, and they haven't gone any further than that. None of the houses. All that end are. But I think going down Berry Corner, they're past 10 Schoolhouse, and they're continuing on that stretch down there.
Maybe they hit a stretch without ledge and they're just like
I
going.
said to Mark, I'm like, what are they doing? Because
Going
Ellie
for
was
it.
going to be last in October or something was on their schedule, and they were going to just keep coming right down.
I couldn't even imagine why they switched. I'm sure there's an explanation for they don't have pipe or they have too much. Who knows what?
Right.
I think it's a lot of what you just hit on, is that as they go, if they're hitting sections without a lot of ledge, they're going to continue running because it's quick, easy tie-ins, but our end is all ledge.
You're all ledge.
So they're just kind of like, well, let's hit all the easy stuff first and wait.
Maybe that's a strategy they have for, get one crew off and now they can focus one crew. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Right.
Jim, we were just discussing H Foot Road. And
Okay.
we're hearing from the Whitings. Do you have anything to add to H Foot Road?
I would like to speak about the odor complaints.
Go for it.
I've been up there myself.
Mhm.
I think I did respond to Aaron's reports that he screwed up, but I know that Melissa had sent a couple of her own concerns, and it does smell up there.
Mhm.
So I think it does. But the thing is, if they're going to be on hold for 8 minutes, then they have to contact Aaron. He has to drive there, talking 45 minutes to an hour before someone gets there. So I think they need a quicker response.
Yeah, and what the other thing too, you know, you look at the times, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, right? And it's like, oh, well, I walked up this street and I walked down this street. I mean, for the neighbors to be like, all right, now we have, I don't want to say prowlers, but people walking up and down the street. You're like, is he with Casella? Is that, you know, it's just, it's such an inconvenience.
He's supposed to have a vest that identifies himself.
Well, he probably does.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just,
Yeah.
you just look at the times where, and how he was walking up to the mailbox and doing this, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's just
Yeah,
like,
it's not a fun job what he has to do, that's for sure. But I think that I believe that Mary Jude did respond for the last one.
The last one,
Yes.
not
Not this
round.
one.
Right,
but
right,
the last one.
right.
So, but I believe they have not paid their last fine, and I think that was one of the issues.
do you have any updates as far as construction or anything like that, or no?
They're continuing to go with the tie-ins. Actually, this office, we worked hard to assist tie-in bond because there are some properties that are in the contaminated areas that will not respond.
Okay.
Just will not respond. So we sent out letters. I sent them out and sent them to all the properties in question to assist them because they just won't respond.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent it certified in snail mail with my card, and that eventually you're going to miss out on a paid water line and you have contamination. If you complain later, the system does not function as to effectively mitigate the 1,4-dioxane. You're going to be drinking contaminated water, or you're going to be maintaining the system, and then the house, you're not going to be able to use the water. So you need to think about this seriously, and at this is the time. Right now, this is the last time that tie-in bond in the town of Southbridge is giving you. So please respond. I personally went to one of the houses, knocked on the guy's door. He had mid-fluent contamination. He would not let him in. He goes, "Well, I'm getting water. What do I care?" I said, "Come on, you know, you got kids in the house." He said, "You're right. You're right." He let him in the next day. So it has to. I have to knock on the door. Yet they won't respond to time bonds letters and stuff. They just like, you know, whatever. So I physically knock on the door and say, "Hey, you have children," so I give them the guilt that, hey, they can't drink the water, and you have a filtration system that it's going to get by that last filter. So please let them come in. His complaint was that they were leaving the empty cartridges instead of taking them with them. The guy says they're too heavy. I'm not carrying them. I don't know if you've ever had that issue. So if the cartridge needs to be replaced, the guy said, "I'm not carrying it. It's too heavy." So he left them there in the basement, and he's afraid that they're going to fall over or cause injury or something. And he's right.
The tanks,
So, and the tanks are, I don't know, they're
they are big. I thought
pretty big, 180 pounds, 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Aren't those cartridges supposed to be put in some hazmat thing anyway?
Yeah,
Some
well, they
bag?
dip them and reuse them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they're also full of water when they first take them out. So you
Yes.
gotta figure 4 feet tall or so, and
Another, what, not 8.5 pounds per gallon of water. So
8.33.
you're absolutely right. And I'm a firefighter, I should know that. I apologize.
It's all right. It's one of those crazy facts I remember.
So I stand corrected, but he just wouldn't carry them out. But that's not the homeowner's fault, and they shouldn't leave them there. What if a kid's playing and they knock them over?
Yeah.
They're too big, too heavy, and they have contaminated water. And I don't think they're screwing a cap in them. So, but I think they're moving along. I think that the main thing is getting people that are late sign-ups that are in that area that are contaminated. And Andrea and Kim worked on them all day, and we did get them out at the request for assistance. And so, if anyone asks that, we assisted Ty and Bond and Casella and the town of Southbridge because we personally, meaning the board, we work for you guys, got letters out because our letters seem to work and theirs don't. So if anyone later who comes into the board and says, "Hey, I missed out," I know you didn't. We've tried everything. Everyone. No one's in their rate on H-Foot Road in an area that is high risk, and they still won't respond. So, but we're doing everything we can. We worked hard to get all those letters out.
I see this.
Yeah, and Andrew was and Kim both.
Totally busy day, yeah.
Yep. Plus people coming in. It's been very, very, because it's a short week.
Yeah.
People coming in, they want things done. So, but it's been extremely busy.
Anything else on H4 Road?
Can I just ask it, Jim,
Sure.
about, so the timeline, you had given us a timeline that had everything really spelled out, where they were gonna be on, around
Yep.
what time. It seems like they went down, I was just saying to the board that it seems like they've gone down Berry Corner, they're working down there, and then
Yep,
Eleanor Lane.
Eleanor Lane. Yep.
So they haven't done the second half, but have they just adjusted the schedule, so
They
that
adjusted it. They ran into some issues with
ledge,
ledge,
that's what we thought.
which slowed them up.
Okay.
So rather than just completely stopping and waiting, they
Yeah.
went to another area which is quicker,
Okay.
so they can move along. But
Okay.
we'll be getting to that area.
Okay, that's what we figured. The other quick thing was that I was saying our next door neighbor has not received their water. So the water delivery came early on Saturday rather than Monday. That was a choice that they had made, that Poland Springs had made. But I checked tonight before we came, they still hadn't received it. They said the last 2 times they've gotten it, they didn't get regular water, they got some regular water, but then they got cases of orange seltzer and different flavored seltzers.
Serious?
But they left, serious. So, and we got one time we got a thing of seltzer, and I thought it was kind of weird, but I don't know if they ran out, so they dropped it. So I said to the board, brushing your teeth with orange seltzer water just isn't going to really cut it.
Do you know the address?
Yeah, it's 91 H foot.
There's others on Eleanor that don't
There's
have water.
Eleanor Lane. She said when they walked down last night, there were still empty bottles out in front of some of those homes too. So I don't know if he ran out. I heard him say he was going to come back on Monday, but we didn't see anybody
I
around
don't
on
think they
Monday.
ever came back.
And then as
So
of
any
tonight,
house
they
that
still
didn't
don't
get
have
any
any.
on Saturday just never got them.
Plus, people have to understand, don't leave your water on your porch in the sun.
Oh, this, yeah.
Some
no.
people are, and
Yeah.
I think that it becomes an issue. It's like a magnification process,
Yeah.
and it's heating up that water that's sitting there. So, but Tracy Markham has been frustrated too because Poland Springs doesn't show up enough water,
Right. That's what's.
and they're trying to supplement it now with
Seltzers.
seltzer water.
Seltzer water.
I have one.
It's hydration, but
But it's like you said, you're not going to be brushing
Not
your
brushing
teeth
your
with
teeth
it.
or cooking with it.
I
so-
will follow up on that tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you very much. Should she reach out? She was asking if she should reach out to Tracy too, and I just said I would mention it to you.
I will say, Tracy, please respond to
Okay.
an issue. She may not know about it
Okay.
because she is
I'm sure
usually
there were
good.
more houses further down that also didn't get it, but it just happened to be down next road.
You know, they should just put a storage place up at the landfill, give them some area and store water for now. If they run out, they have it there, but they're not going to do that. I don't think truck can hold enough water.
Not for the whole street.
Even with us, we order Poland Springs, they come in, he says, well, I don't have enough, I'm only leaving one. And he doesn't come back for a couple weeks, so
Right.
I think it's the way they operate. It's just not, but we're not dependent on that water, you
Right.
are.
Right. Right.
So,
Okay.
If-
Thank you very much.
If we don't have anything else on H-Foot Road, I would like to move on. So we're going to move on. Kathleen, do you want to go over the house hazardous waste day?
Yeah,
now?
yeah, we can. The only thing I want to hold off on is the yard waste because we have a fellow coming in at 7.
Tonight?
Yeah,
Okay.
the yard waste. But what time is it? It's a half an hour. But we can certainly talk about the hazardous waste. So,
If
Want
you would
to?
like. I see Roland here, so I
Roland, do
figure.
you want to come up? And Debbie?
we're coming.
now we found some money in our budget for that too, and I showed Kathleen.
Excellent.
Deb, you want to come up?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll move over.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Busy, huh?
Busy.
Every time I look around, you're headed down the road somewhere. Doing something.
We're busy.
You
Okay.
gonna sit in? You right there? Okay. And I'm not moving over there.
Kathleen, you want to
Sure.
take it?
Okay, so as you know, years ago, well, the recycling committee, which I'm a member of, which is reports to this board, and Roland's the chairperson, and Nancy and Debbie and I are members. So maybe you should
Mike
start
is
off.
too.
And Mike Cunningham, right? Yeah. Do you want to
Well,
start off the
we
discussion?
kinda,
Or?
my own point is we have to come to you, but we're looking into having hazardous waste day just for Charlton if possible, because, and I don't know how this past hazardous waste day went, because I wasn't there, I'm sorry. I had other things I had to do. So I don't know if anybody knows what happened to the other one, because if things go as they claim it is, it's $25 for a half a car, $50 for a full car. I'm talking about, I don't know what they mean by that, a pickup truck full or a half a truck. And because there used to be an awful lot of stuff went through that place on hazardous waste day that I think should have been, some of it should have gone to Costella's construction material up there in North Oxford. You know, that's the material where you come in and weigh, or they have a minimum and whatnot. So I don't see that coming into, you know, our hazardous waste day. What you're looking for is to get rid of your chemicals, your batteries, your oil, and
How about paint?
paint. Right, lead.
Lead.
And, you know, and your stains, your I'm trying to say, the ones that for your floors and
Urethane, polyurethane,
Poly-
stuff like that.
yeah, right. There you go. But you know, but as far as heavy materials go, I don't think that's part of hazardous waste. It's taken it to the place, you know, up to North Oxford.
So you want to
Because actually bringing it over there, I would say when they say a full car load, I don't know what that means. Some fellow might come in with a ton truck
So if I
full
can
of,
just,
full of drywall or
Yeah.
something to that effect. You know? So I mean, these are the things that you don't want. That was happening at hazardous waste when we were working before we, you know, we didn't have hazardous waste day at the end of the year. I think they've had. I don't think they've had. Have they had one since the end of the year?
because of the first one
Because
this year.
this is the first one that they had, right?
So,
Right.
yeah, 'cause they had to skip the
I
other
kind of
ones. There
wanted to
wasn't
go
enough
see
votes.
what took place, but
Yeah.
they had
So
other commitments.
if I can just interject something, Roland.
Sure.
When Roland and I and Nancy first met, we were working on Charlton Household Hazardous Waste Day, which we got started probably 15 years ago, because there was no way to get rid of your the bad stuff, and people would dump it in the woods. And I came to town hall and I said, "What should I do with all this stuff?" It was left in my garage when I moved into the house, and they said, "Well, everybody just dumps it in the woods." That was pretty horrifying. So, so we tried to get a hazardous waste day started here, and the town was very reluctant, and we needed to hire a firm, and it was going to cost $5,000 a year, and it went on for 2 years. I drove back and forth, but finally they decided to do it, and we all worked there, and we picked up. We also took in tires. It was over on Flint Road, and we charged people for the tires. But there was a whole company there, and they would set up in their hazmat suits and everything, and they would take for free any hazardous waste that people from Charlton could bring. And you had to show your ID to prove you were from Charlton. So, so that went on until when I was on the Board of Selectmen, we made this deal with Casella. Casella offered to do these 4 household hazardous waste days for free, so we were delighted with that. Saved the town a lot of money, and it was wonderful. And that went on and Roland worked there. Every hazardous waste day counts. And Nancy, and Debbie did. You did a lot
did
too.
some.
Yeah.
I did one.
You did?
Yeah.
Hey. And so I don't think I did any, but people could just count on coming there 4 times a year and bringing any bad stuff they had in their garage. That shouldn't can't be put into the trash and shouldn't be thrown out into the woods. So then the deal with Casella ended last year, and most of the provisos that we had with Casella still were kept in place, except the hazardous waste. And Casella said, okay, we're still going to run it, but we're going to charge people, I think it was $25 or $30 for half a car and $50 for a whole car. And so if you have 2 or 3 cans or bottles or something, you're going to have to pay $30 or $25 to get rid of that. And we decided that a lot of people wouldn't do that. So we're worried about that. And we're concerned about it. And that's why we want to reinstate the Charlton Household Hazardous Waste Day. And to that end, and I don't think Roland knows this, but Jim already came up with some money.
$3,000.
Is that a one-time fund?
No, it's for quantity of two household hazardous waste days. It's a new item Casella closed, and it provides $3,000.
2 separate events.
It would be $1,500 event, but I think that's a little low. I think they are much more expensive to get someone to come here, but I think it's worth looking into. We have 3,000 already.
Can we piggyback with what the program is now? So instead of the people having to pay the 50 or the 25 or the 50, can we say the first whatever the math works out to be, the first 15 or first 20 people or however, whatever we have funding for, if it's $1,500 for that day, they can come and get it taken care of for free.
You mean we would pay Casella?
Right. Out of that funds. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Because it seems like there's more of the story.
From we've been keeping track of how many people actually come from Charlton to Hazardous Waste Day, which probably averages out anywhere from 100. We've been as high as 150, but we've been as low as 75. So it averages out somewhere between 100 and 125. Now, if you're looking at $25 or $50 a car, and you got 2,000,
Just gonna go quick.
yeah, you're going to spend that quick. But
We have to spend it. So.
I wonder if there's a way to match then and say, all right, so now it's 25 a car, and we can contribute. So just take the sting off. So those that are right on the fence that don't want.
well, here's the other thing. If you only got batteries, now I've seen people come in the extremes, truckload of real trash. Other fellows come in with a bag of batteries. Regular D's, double A's, so on and so forth. It's a little package. That's it. You gotta want to get rid of it. I mean, I can't see somebody coming in there for $25 or something
Right.
like that. That kind of a
So what
drop
do you
off
do with
should
the
be
batteries?
free.
Yeah.
It really should be free,
Yeah.
in my sense. But that's just my thought.
So maybe there's a discussion that you guys could have with the powers to be, if that's Casella or whatnot, and say, listen, if somebody comes with a little bag, let's just, and then there's at the end of the event, it's all right. This is how much we have. So instead of it being a per person thing,
But
it's
I mean,
per product.
when I say batteries, they do have come in with car batteries and whatnot. Those are recyclable as far as if you collect them. Because when I was working there, one of the helpers, he put them aside. Because he went to the...
They're worth money.
Yeah, but he went to Excel
Right.
over there and cashed them in.
Yeah, so that would actually be a good thing if somebody
Yeah,
brought in
I know.
metal or brought in batteries. Those
Right.
go over here,
Right.
and then
Oh, yeah. Because there's some people just want to get rid of them. And
Right.
They're not going to waste their day looking up to the
yeah.
thing. So, well,
So through the chair.
there's a lot of things that could be discussed.
So that's one option. Another option is to sign up with another town and maybe work something out.
I know they,
Southbridge is willing, and if we could get one more town to share the cost, they're willing to do something.
Selfridges.
Yeah.
Maybe we could reach out to Dudley or Sturbridge or Oxford or East
Dudley or
Brookfield.
something to that effect. That's not too
I will. I did speak to Andy about it. He's willing to. They should probably do something with Charlton because Charlton's always been part of their Southbridge's drop off anyway.
Well, we do have, we share the school district with Dudley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've also, our board and their boards have met together on different topics in the past. So maybe we could reach out to Dudley and maybe start with them and try and get a third down. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. This is.
I think
You're
we'd
the
get.
topic.
I think we'd probably get further than getting any place with Casella. We did attempt to reach out to Casella to have them add the housing, Charlton housing, to the pickup that they do,
Recycle.
and recycle it. And they said no, just no. And there was no room for negotiation or anything. They said they'd be glad to bid on it when we go out to bid, but they're not interested. We're concerned that housing doesn't have the opportunity to do any recycling.
What's that other? Well, I know there's more than one, so I'm not trying to pick a company, but there's a company out there out of Sutton or whatever,
NEDS.
or what is it?
NEDS.
NEDS.
I went to the one in Springfield. No, Westfield. Drove all the way out to Westfield last year, and it was expensive. Very
They were pricey?
expensive. Yeah. The cheapest thing that we got rid of were some non-green tipped fluorescent bulbs. So the new ones have green tips on the end, and they're environmentally friendly. I guess the other, if they're not green tipped, they have mercury or something in them, and that costs money. So as I recall, the fluorescent tubes were $1, maybe $2 a piece, and I was happy to pay that. But I had a half gallon of linseed oil, and I think I just tried a little bit, and the rest was totally inconvenient. I don't know what it cost, like $20. They charge by the pound for things like that. It was probably as expensive to get rid of it as what I paid to
What you
buy
paid
it.
for it.
Yeah. But it was a nice facility. I think it was on Route 20 in Westfield, as I recall. Bit of a drive.
Yeah.
But they certainly know exactly what's what, and they're fully regulated. But I don't know, are there other companies that could come in and do this?
I know
Well,
that
we can-
facility has another location.
We can hire a company. That's what we used to do. Hire a company,
Okay.
plan a day,
Yeah.
2 days a year, maybe,
But
and the town would pay for that, and would pick a spot, and even twice a year would be something, and then everybody would come in those 2 days a year. I think at the end we were charging people maybe $5 or something. I'm not sure, because the town was starting to block. We charge them for tires and for
Tires
televisions
and
and
for,
stuff like that. Yeah.
your
But I-
TVs and monitors and
Yeah.
all those. They were charging for that.
Well, if Southbridge is interested, I think we might try to get Dudley then.
Sure.
Do you want me to get hold of you? Who wants to get hold of you?
Andy Pelletier is he's a health director in Southbridge. He was the one that mentioned it. He'd like to, his board, where you met Roland Larochelle was here.
Yeah.
How about Kim? That works for us.
Richie?
Yeah. Can you have her call Dudley Porterhouse? Because she has a good friend there.
Yeah. That's good.
So maybe she can catch up on
So is
time.
Tom Purcell.
Yeah, true.
Who's Tom's friend?
Tom is the health agent
health-
for Dudley.
Oh.
But
Okay.
he's not on the board.
He's not on the
Right,
board like me.
right.
I'm not on the board, but I think Tom.
Okay.
I've met with their board before. They're probably. I don't know what they have for household hazardous waste day, but I think we should find out. I'll do a survey. I'll have Kim.
Have Kim snoop around because I know
Snoop
she's
around.
got. I think it's like her best friend or something.
Yeah, I'll have her call Oxford, Sturbridge, Dudley,
See
and
what they do for
see what they
household
do.
hazardous waste.
And then we're interested in going into group together and see if they're interested.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that work for you guys?
I just wanted to ask if Southbridge would be interested in this. Is it because they in their own town don't want to use the Casella,
They have
they
to
find
pay
it too
too.
They have to
expensive.
pay. They're the same as we are. They're not getting it for. Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
there's a question.
Mark?
I just want to throw my 2 cents in real quick. Is there any way of somehow the town collecting funds to actually pay for this and not put it onto the residents? And the only reason why I say this is because we live right down the street, and every time they have a hazardous waste day, our road, Berry Corner Road, there are tires,
They dump it.
TVs, and mattresses all over the place because they don't want to pay. So they leave, they come down our road and heave everything out, which eventually the town picks up 4 months or so down the road and pays for it anyways. So, I mean, a lot of people, they don't mind paying it to get rid of it. There's a lot of people that go that think it should just be thrown with the trash. So if there was a way to make some funding so that it doesn't cost people, it would help take care of the clutter that happens every time they have these.
And we pay anyways.
You're going to pay anyway, so why not try to find a way of somehow every year getting funds put towards a hazardous waste day or two, because wherever they're going to have them, our streets fill up with all the stuff that people don't want to pay for.
And then I get a call, and then I have to call Jerry, and it cost. Last time it was like 20 tires. They were big truck tires. I thought they were in Southbridge, but they were in Charlton, and Jerry had to pick them up. But we have to pay
Yeah.
them.
Roll 'em down the
Every time Southbridge would have it too. I always
No, I would
You go down the road and you'll see mattresses.
Oh yeah,
and
TVs,
everything. on the side of the
toilets.
road.
Yeah.
Toilets,
Stafford's-
chairs,
Stafford's good
recliners.
I've seen whole truckloads of just trash dumped off on the power line, right on Burlingame Road. They thought it was convenient to back in there and dump it, but once they dump it on private property, the town of Charlton will not pick it up. If it's right on the side of the road, they will.
Yeah,
So
they
these
just-
people, assuming that these people are unaware that they can take it to Oxford, right, on every
Yeah,
Saturday
there's some of the stuff, no, there were some pieces that were dumped.
for
no.
free.
They might have drove all the way to the landfill and then found out they had to pay
Oh,
X
okay.
amount of dollars. So they're not going to drive now. They
Right.
just say the hell with it. And
Yeah, dump it.
No, I totally see your point.
Our road, there's no houses at the end of the road. From the landfill, there's a eighth of a mile or more of no houses, nothing but woods. That turns into the landfill.
But woods and TVs
Yep.
Tires, TVs.
and a mattress.
And toilets. Mattresses.
Do we have anything else, Kathleen, for hazardous waste? It's
Well,
definitely
I think,
food for thought.
I'll look into it, and I'll get back to the board.
More or less looking into it to see what we can come up with, to be honest with you. So,
No, if I could just add a point, there was like maybe 4 years ago, I went to a church in Auburn that had a hazardous waste day, but it was electronics, computer monitors, printers, that type of thing.
right.
And it was a fundraiser for the church, but they got this company that came, and I think I got rid of a computer and a terminal for $15, $20, and the church somehow made money out of it.
We just did it across the street.
Right.
Oh, you did? Oh, but
This church does
The church.
Yeah, they
Okay.
just did it. Yeah.
and the bicycles,
Yep.
I don't know, is that the
and that's
same-
more than a break even then for
Is
that?
that the same amount?
I'm not sure, but there's also someone who showed up here and said, we'll take all your old computers and keyboards and everything for free. And we had just paid to get rid of them. So
No, I know. That was
Those are
4
too
years
late.
ago. I'm ready for another one. That's why I was
yeah,
looking
exactly.
forward to it.
But it is a good idea, the church thing. Yep.
Okay. So, I think if they could, if you guys could wait around till the yard waste guys comes in, we'll talk about that.
Sure.
If he comes, because there's a lot of good ideas.
I'm just gonna go see Deanna.
Charlton is still taking a lot of their every week to North Oxford. You know, like I do. You know, I have to go, you know, every week Saturday. Because I gotta lug it down 700 feet, so I might as well put it in the back of the pickup and take it in myself and not pay the $300. And do my errands on the same time, pick up.
$300 what per year?
Yeah, what is it, $80 a quarter?
Oh, for the trash.
I'm
Yeah.
paying more than that.
Well, I don't
I'm
know what
thinking,
it, I
I'm
don't
thinking
know.
it's 700 or something. With,
I don't know.
You a weekly pickup?
yes, well, yeah, they do weekly pickup of trash, and then every other week is recycle. And that's for public services, which is sporadic at best.
Yeah, Casella does it for a little bit less than that.
I have Burdette, it's $40 every week for pickup, recycling every week also.
But they were,
$40 a week?
$40 a month.
Oh, $40.
But I get to put recycling out every single week. I don't have, it's not every other week. It's
Burdette?
Burdette, yeah.
So this may
But they don't do Charlton. Do they?
Sure they do.
You here with yard for yard waste?
Yeah.
Come on up.
Oh, great.
Just in time.
Good. Okay. I sit here.
Sure can.
Okay.
Yep. You get something to sign in whenever you can.
Alrighty.
So we were just talking about that, and we were
Okay.
holding off on the yard waste for you to show. And
If you could just identify yourself for the record.
William Colway, 13 Hanson Road. I'm glad that you guys are taking this up.
And thank you for volunteering your yard for us to put the yard waste in. I had to say it, sorry.
Yeah.
Just kidding, of course.
Oh, I've been here for 30 years, so I know where some things have been.
Yeah.
I did have a little presentation I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if you want some facts or stuff like that.
what do you got?
Sure.
All right, so I only have 4. Well, that's mine, actually. I only have 4 of them, but I'll go through them real quick. I had a couple of experiences with Southbridge, Department of Public Works, and then also just driving around since the Casella's dump was closed to just bringing stuff there. So I called them this morning, Casella's, and said, what do I do with this stuff? It's building up.
You're talking about yard waste now.
I'm talking about sticks and leaves
Yeah.
and
Right.
grass clippings.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. Stuff that people are throwing in their backyards. I, for one, got Lyme disease in my backyard. Most of my neighbors have Lyme disease in my backyard. And this stuff is a perfect incubator for critters like mice and chipmunks and things like that the ticks bite. I mean, you're creating a habitat for them in your backyard. And if you live in a cul-de-sac, which is a circle, and everybody's backyards are facing in the same direction, everybody's sheds are in the same direction, you're creating a real haven for all these kinds of things. So that's something that I've not only noticed, but I was talking to my neighbor today, and she got bit twice yesterday. So as a person with Lyme disease who has hiked the Appalachian Trail, the Vermont Long Trail, the Arizona Trail, and been all over the place, never got bit, and got it in my backyard, I can tell you right now where it came from. Leaves and sticks and stuff like that. So, why did I bring this up? Well, because I called Casella's today, they said, well, the reason we don't have it anymore is because Charlton didn't want to participate in paying for the service. And I said, oh, really? They had closed the dump, so I don't know what that was. So then I called the Department of Public Health here, and they said that just because they closed the dump has nothing to do with that. I said, okay, fine. Well, what's the solution? Casella's has no solution, and we had no solution. Well, it's a challenge because you drive in one of these images I show you. When you drive right down on by Jim's Christmas trees, it's right here. You know, this is right on the road, right by the road. He's got a tree with branches and everything just laying there, and where's he going to put it? So there's no avenue. So these things are typically going to end up in those brown bags, the leaf bags. They're going to end up in dead-end roads, possibly. They're going to end up in people's. They're just not going to be managed. So, what we had here in Charlton when I first started here about 30 years ago and moved to and had a family here is right down on Flint Road. There was a fenced-in area. It's currently now. There's a photograph of it right here. Okay, I took today, and that area is fenced in. It's locked, and we used to bring our Christmas trees there. We used to bring leaves. And that's all we did. And it was never full. It was always very just simple. You know what I'm saying? You went there on a Saturday. It was open one day a week.
I used to be the old dump.
The old
That- it was
That's 54
54 Flint.
We can't put anything there.
Well, anyways,
It's a
I'm not
draft-
suggesting you
it's a
do.
draft.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's what was there. It was,
You see that? Yeah, you've seen that.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's right down
I
there.
know right where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's there. Now what Southbridge has done, and Auburn, and all these other towns, and even Worcester, is they've taken this biomass and they provided a place for people to put it, and then they roll it and they turn it into compost and something like that. So one of the things I've seen is, or would suggest, is that we currently have this thing where at the DPW here in Charlton, where you can pick up 2 buckets of sand and salt during the season, which is a great resource. Just go over there and you shovel them. Everybody does it. It's perfect. It's great, you know. And right next to it, by the way, is a photograph that I have in here. And guess what's right next to it to the left? Compost pile, which is a town pile of wood chippings. Right there, which obviously we probably paid for because we used them in our town, right? So there's a
So
perfect
that's,
location.
is that in the new dump?
That's at the
DPW.
DPW.
Oh, it's right at the.
Right at the DPW, right before you go into the gate, there's a red building here, and then there's a dog control, animal control in the back.
Oh, okay, that's
Okay.
the old DPW.
The old
Of course, they
DPW.
have
Yeah,
that.
I don't know the rules of that.
Well, they're-
Well, we got a
just
brand
go
new
to
one
the-
down there.
Okay.
Some million
That's the
dollars.
one Town Farm Road.
This one.
That's right. Yeah, it's right not far from that Flint. So there is an opportunity, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is what's happening to my wife and I is this stuff is building up. I'm going to have to pay people to take it. Everybody's going to, or people are going to start dumping it either in their backyards, and it's going to build up. It's also, I don't know if you guys notice it either, but when people start burning, and if your windows aren't closed, it comes into your house. They put pallets in there. They put other things in there besides. They just burn in their backyards. That cannot be healthy for people. Okay, it gets all over the place. It goes all through the neighborhoods. It's not not really a great way of handling the product. The other thing is, if you say you can only burn in a certain period of time of the year, okay, then you build up this massive amount of fuel, and you burn it, and you create a big fire. Well, great. That's not awesome either, because then that can expand to the guy's shed behind it, and that goes on and on and on. So those are the points I wanted to bring up. I think burning yard waste isn't really a great solution to this problem. I think there is a solution to the problem. We're surrounded by towns that are doing these kinds of things. I don't know why it's not something that we couldn't do. And I'm not asking for budgetary money, really. You're just asking for a place to put things. And then just using the Department of Public Works like all the other towns do. The one I've showed in Southbridge, I drove down there to show signs. I took pictures of the signs, as they say, Southbridge town members only. Basically, it's video surveillance. You know, one of the things that towns have a problem with, and I think Charlton had a problem with this when that was originally opened a long time ago, was commercial people dumping used dump trucks full of grass clippings in. And that's why it was good to have it right by the DPW, because that's a staffed area, so people will have eyes on it.
But what do you? So how do you think the town would fund this though? You're saying that it shouldn't cost the town money, or that the town would? Because I see it being an expense to the town.
Okay, let's say it's an expense.
Mhm.
Okay, let's say it's an expense that's basically something that the town, residents of the town were getting.
Yeah.
Okay, when the dump closed, and then everything kind of moved over, you could bring your own refuse to Casella's, then that was great. And so it was a one-for-one relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's gone, and we can take part of that equation and go to Oxford with refuge,
Yeah.
house garbage, right? But the part of missing it of that equation is the yard waste.
Right.
That's the only part.
And
So
the
we,
household gets us wasted.
I'm sorry?
We just-
Household hazard waste day.
We lost
The
that
chemical
too.
stuff. Yeah.
Right. So we, as a resident who's witnessed all this little evolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had it. Then we still had it, but it got just transferred someplace else. And now, with this transition, we lost it.
Yeah, but so I understand what you're saying. We had the brush where they bring it to the Flint Road. This one, we weren't bringing brush to Casella.
I don't know what the seller is.
Casella.
People were, residents were.
They were okay.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Well, I don't know. I didn't.
They had dumpsters were overflowing
Of brush.
with everybody.
Okay.
The place was loaded with it.
Hmm,
I mean, not only did they have one dumpster full of it, they had a whole other section that was just full of it, and they had a front loader just picking it up and moving it around.
Okay.
Because they had all of Southbridge, all of Charlton.
Yeah.
Because when you walk around, think about it from a person who owns a home. You walk around with one of those brown bags from BJ's or Walmart or wherever that's biodegradable, and you walk around your yard and you fill it up, right? You do 4 or 5 of them, and then you put them in the side of your house. Then Saturday comes and you put it in your car, and you drive it away. Nice and neat, right? From my perspective, I've been exposed to that material really just at one time with my hands, right? If I take it from there and then I put it in a mulch pile, and then I have to manage that and then take that and put it into a fire pile, I'm constantly holding onto it, constantly touching it. That stuff I don't want to touch it anymore. That process works very well for me as a resident, all right? And because we do that, our yard is cleaner. Our trees are pruned more, we rake more, we do everything more. So our house the property value is actually better because it looks nice all the time. Now when I cut stuff, I end up with a mountain. I mean, it doesn't take long, as you all know. In our town, we have a lot of trees and it doesn't take long to get a big pile of stuff. And you may say, well, it may cost more now, but let me ask you something. Did that Flint site cost $0 then?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I couldn't tell you. They probably just let it rot.
Maybe they did just let it rot, and maybe I'm not saying you have to do anything but that. Just create a big pile of stuff and let it rot like they did in the past. I have no idea.
So, just through the chair, you said you saw a location at Old Town Road where the old DPW is.
Yes.
Yeah.
That looked like it.
The pile of chips.
It's right next to it. Right next to where they have the sand and salt, where you go pick up this here. Yeah.
It's not going to go there.
No, I'm not saying that it does.
No, because the DPW director doesn't want it there.
Well,
Because it costs the budget. He doesn't have a budget for it.
They use the chips.
Yeah, they use the chips.
The town has its own wood chipper, so they probably dumped its own chips there or whatnot.
I recommend if people are worried about yard waste is to mulch like I do my lawn instead of picking up the grass clippings. And January 15th to May 1st, the DEP allows local residents to burn, so you can burn your I know you say it's maybe a hazard, but due to the weather and those conditions during that period of time, they feel it's the safest time to burn small sticks.
Yeah, except we've done that, and we was really looking forward to it this year. There was no day
You're right, it
that we
rained.
were allowed to burn up through the end of April.
Because it was high risk.
Because not just high risk, there was rain, everything was soaked.
Yeah, but like he says too, those piles get contaminated. Next thing you know, they're throwing pressure treated or
they're throwing pellets in there.
Everything.
I get wood pellets delivered to my house. I heat my house with wood pellets. Okay. Now those pallets.
We don't want to hear that.
Well, no, I mean.
You have no do a wood burn, correct?
Yeah, professional installed
Yeah.
insert pellet.
Yeah. And on May 1st, I just went to this. May 1st, you have to cease and desist all operations of outdoor wood burners or hydronic heaters.
It's not outdoor though.
Yeah.
No, his isn't outdoor. He's
Yeah.
saying he's just going to do house.
Pellets.
Oh, they did pass that?
My point is what people buy when you buy things like that. They come in packaging with pallets.
Mm-hmm.
The pallets have arsenic and other chemical treatments, so they don't. So you're not supposed to put those in your garbage. You're not supposed to put them in your garbage.
Pellets?
Pallets. Take a pallet and try to get that in one of those totes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Right. So then, what do people do? Let's be realistic. What do people do in their backyards? It's 4th of July. They're having a barbecue.
Let 'em rip.
Throw 'em on.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. You can't tell me that's a good thing to breathe.
No, it's full of arsenic.
We could go on with pallets. Look at the ALB, Asian Longhorn Beetle.
Yeah.
That was about pallets.
Yeah, that's how they got
That
here.
almost devastated Worcester County. My concern with what you're saying, I'm on board. Hey, it would be totally worth looking into. It's how do you pay for it? That's what I look at. And the reason why I say that is I'm on that side of things. I have wood chippers and tub grinders and things like that. So I see the other town, like the town of Auburn, that goes out to bid. So everybody brings their bags to DPW by the Auburn Mall there, and then they get a good pile. And then the town of Auburn pays contractors come in and grind it. And it's tens of thousands of dollars to grind it. Oxford had one out. It was leaf. That was it. Leaf litter or just leaves. 50,000 yard pile. Oxford had to pay to get rid of it. I mean, it's like huge. It was a huge pile, huge. And so, so that's the only thing I wonder. Like, and I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying realistically, the funding to follow through with that. Because I don't see him being able to just stockpiling it somewhere. I don't know if I don't know where we could do it. And the reason why, because Flint Road would be a great spot, but we'd probably have to cap that landfill. So that's going on.
I'm just, all I'm saying is, it was something there. It got transferred. And then when that ended, that service was gone.
Yeah.
And now there's no answer. Okay? So as a concerned resident and somebody who would like to help you provide a solution, okay, all I'm saying is that's a missing hole in the puzzle. And all that stuff's going to happen. And most people I know mulch. I do too.
Yep.
I'm talking leaves and sticks primarily, right?
Well, you think about in the woods. The leaves fall in the woods and the sticks rot and fall in the woods. So it's not only in your backyard, it's through everywhere in Charlton throughout the woods. So if you walk through the woods, I have Lyme disease myself from working. But when you think about it, it's not just your backyard. It's everywhere that it happens. Leaves fall, they decay. You smell it. It's organic matter. Sticks fall. So it's not only in your backyard, and you add those, the clippings from your lawn, which you should add lime to and stuff. But it's also everywhere.
Yes,
when the leaves fall out here, they're about 4 feet high.
It's a valid point. However, we, as people do, we concentrate things. When it's spread across the forest floor, it is exactly that. It's spread across the forest floor. It's not 6 feet tall and 12 feet wide. And even without, because I've noticed, and I'm sure anybody else in this room who has a mulch pile, when you throw the leaves on top and the grass on top and everything else and flowers and the annuals and everything else, it sinks. But the sticks in the middle and the bottom, guess what happens to them? They don't rot. They don't get water to them. They just sit there. We decommissioned our mulch pit and brought all that stuff over to Casella's, right? From 25 years ago when we bought that house, the same sticks that were in the bottom of my mulch pile because water never got to the bottom of it. Now, that just kept building up and up and up. But the top kept going down and just kept squishing it, but it wasn't rotting it. So I totally agree with you. Having a degree in biology, my wife has a master's degree in wildlife biology, I understand the biologic part of it. But I also understand that what we as humans have done is concentrate things. Everything. Sewage, water. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Right? So in this particular case, all I'm saying is that we had something, now we don't have something, we need to have a solution. And if we don't have a solution, it's just going to end up like that right there. People are just going to leave it around. It's going to stay there. One day something's going to happen, a lightning strike, whatever. A fire's going to occur, and all that fuel that is in all those sheds and behind all those little places, which has an accelerant right next to it, by the way, which is usually called gasoline, is just something's going to happen. Just a matter of time.
So, for an action, Kathleen, would the recycling committee be willing to entertain this and look into it a little deeper? Roland, you're the chair.
We're going to have to look into it a lot deeper as far as that fact goes, Let's face it, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with this piece of property here,
You got to cap it.
The one with the fence up there that belongs to the town.
We're under DEP restrictions with that one.
Yeah, nothing can go in there.
No.
Nothing can be done.
Not at that piece.
That's good as far as I'm concerned.
The town's got land. The town has space all over the place.
Yeah.
We were
But
working
they're
on
not
it,
gonna
Jim.
do something to
We
that
were,
effect.
Robin asked for input and we were looking into it, but the solutions we come up with were rejected a couple times and we need to come up with other
I mean,
solutions.
this town has hundreds of acres.
Yep.
You start poking around.
Yeah, what you need is a nice ravine you can just back trucks up to. I got one behind my house, and I just took down a big pine tree, and the neighbor who owns the 10 acres behind my house said if it biodegrades, throw it over. He's been telling me that for 25 years. So
Problem, the chemicals that people put on the lawn also, like you said, then they bag it and they throw it in that pile.
correct.
So-
Yes, right. Yeah, if it was true, just brush up to 4 inches and clippings and so forth if you would put it someplace. But I didn't know this where you had branches that were 25 years old that were decomposing.
Just if water doesn't get to biological, if water, moisture and air doesn't get to biomass, how does bacteria work? It doesn't do anything. It can't. It's simple biological processes. That's all. So if you cap it, you're basically capping it with grass clippings and leaves. So I'm not going to go over it again. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was bring up. I'm at the point in this whole thing where I'm very invested in this community. I've been here for 30 years. I've raised my entire family here. Love it. Don't want to leave it. And I've never spoken up before, not once. And this time is something that's, in my opinion, a simple thing. And it's a pretty obvious problem. How you pay for it is not my problem because I don't really have contacts with other DPW departments. If it was me, I'd benchmark and ask how they handle it, and ask them what they do, what's the most economical thing to do, what Charlton can afford. But every time you offer people a benefit, and then you take it away, and then you don't offer them a solution, you create a problem, a little hole, and that's a person like me saying, we're talking about leaves and sticks here. We're not talking about building a new road, putting a new sewer system in. This is something that is just going to make our town look pretty like that, just bushes and stucks.
I just want to know, Debbie, do you have any thoughts about this?
Well, I just mentioned my own. At our house, we have an empty lot on one side of us, and the neighbor has let us throw all of our sticks and leaves in there. In fact, we have one on the other side too, as a summer resident, when we throw sticks and leaves in there. So we've personally never had a problem with what to do with yard waste. But I do agree that we have one pile in our own land, and I think those sticks are still in there from the bottom to the middle. But I missed the.
I live in Carroll Hill Estates. Okay, you've got basically 3 or 4 cul-de-sacs, and you can just walk around them. We all walk around our cul-de-sacs for exercise with the dog and all that stuff. It's all good, and you can just see people's backyards, and it just keeps building and building. And there's only so many places to put it. When those lots were developed, and so a developer came in there, somebody's have to pay to remove all that stuff.
The other thing is, and I clear land for a living. I cut house lots off. So I'll go to a house lot, and yeah, I got the neighbors on both sides there, and it's like, so I understand. Now there's going to be a house there. Now there's 2 plus the original. They're not going to have that space anymore. We run into it all the time.
And if anybody's gone to work and left their windows open on one of those April days when you can burn, and come into your house and it's full of ash and smoke, and you know that person has burned trash, everything, shingles, you name it. Whatever they couldn't throw in the garbage went in that pile.
Absolutely.
That's against the law, though.
Of course it's against the law, but I'm not saying people are not doing it.
Right.
I'm not saying I did it. I'm just saying that people do that stuff, and we agreed that. So I'm just bringing this up as something that you guys, I'm happy to help in any way I can. I'm retired, and I have a master's degree from WPI. I can figure out problems, but the thing is, this is just one of those things where we had it, now we don't.
Kathleen, how much room's on the recycling committee?
We're going to have to put him on a recycling.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
We're actually meeting on Thursday, right?
Not this Thursday, next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Thursday,
Second
4th of
Thursday
July.
of July.
Yeah, okay, so we're not meeting before. So we're meeting, we just meet for an hour once a month. And we're meeting at the library, in a public, in a local history room. It's a small room at 5 o'clock, 5 to 6. You think you'd want to come over there?
Happy to talk about this. I'll talk to as many committees and help as any way I can. But what I think, thanks a lot. Okay. My only worry is that the authority of each committee, if it's equal. If this committee is a committee that has the authority to manage budgets,
The Board of Health has the authority, but the recycling committee reports to the Board of Health.
exactly.
And if the Board of Health is interested in,
But Richard, we have the authority. We don't have the funding.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So I keep saying, what are we going to pay for it? It's a great idea. A great idea.
but
And
if we can ask for the funding.
we could ask for the funding.
We have a lot of funding to ask for when I get to my section.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But if you wanted to meet with the recycling committee,
I'm happy to give you anything you need.
yeah, because
But I'll tell you now is if I got to spend $500 to $1,000 a year to get rid of all my stuff, in 2 years it's going to be a for sale sign of the house. And it's because what's happening is, little things like this really nibble away at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the kind of stuff that is not a major political issue. You know what I'm saying? This is a very simple one. So I'd love to meet with you guys and I'd like to participate in any investigations, any phone calls, all that stuff with you guys.
Okay, well, maybe we can brainstorm what we can do.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to go. All right.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for your time. Yep, appreciate it.
So are you going to contact me or just Thursday night or?
I don't have your information.
If you email me, I'll make sure I get
Yeah,
with you,
we'll do it.
and I'll update you.
Okay.
Take care.
All right?
Yeah.
I just gave my email.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Kathleen, I've got his phone number here on the sign-in. He's the last person
Thank
here.
you. Thank you so much.
Can we move on, Kathleen?
Yeah,
We can move on.
we can.
Roland,
What do
are
you
ready
have
to
for
move
us?
on?
Do you have
Yeah,
anything?
we're ready.
What do you have for us?
Thank you for coming in.
I'm going to have a very brief conversation about some of the concerns over edible candy
You can
marijuana.
stay
Okay.
wherever you like. Yeah.
Thank you.
Roland, good seeing you, buddy.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All you folks.
See you, Matt.
Take care. Thanks. Thank you.
Roland.
Thanks for all your work, Roland. Everybody.
Well, we're trying.
All right. Moving on, we are going to talk about marijuana, vaping, and tobacco regulations. I can start with you if you'd like.
I'm going to go up with the, well, I'm not all three of those. Steve Corona, 1701 Worcester Road. So it kind of, there was an article, you know how Facebook is, right? A little bit.
Personally, I don't.
I don't get on Facebook.
Smart, very intelligent. But there was an article that I saw
I got you, John.
maybe about 2 weeks ago, and it was about, wasn't able to print that particular article, but it was about a 9-year-old in Waltham who ingested edible marijuana and was taken to the ER. And it looked like candy. It's 9 years old, so what is that, 4th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade? And when I read the article, the part that kind of got me ticked off a little bit, or kind of flew under my crow, is there was a parent of that school that said, well, unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And it was that statement that I said, you know what? No, it isn't. It's not the world we live in. It doesn't need to be the world we live in. Now where we're coming across a new frontier where marijuana is accepted and it's going to be here and it's going to be for sale. And I have many friends that smoke marijuana, and the funny part about that is they all seem to buy it the old-fashioned way, because the new way is more expensive, which I find a little humorous. But for some reason, the edibles were making it look like candy.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense to anybody? I mean, if you look at even the packaging now, I was able to print some. If you look at the packaging,
Yeah,
some of
believe
these.
me, I look at the stuff every day. Unfortunately, took it out of the hands of the DPH and put it in the hands of the Cannabis Control Commission. So, and they made it legal. So, we've tried to do restrictions on some of the vaping products and stuff, but
Well, we're not talking about vaping. We're talking
No.
about. So what had happened? I had done some research, and what I did learn,
but they're legal, is what I'm saying.
they are legal.
Yes.
In the state of Washington, which has had cannabis edible legal for several years, and in the state of Colorado.
Believe me, I'm not for them at all. So I don't think
Well,
that-
but no. Well, let me finish. They have since banned them. Anything that looks like candy. But they did that for a reason, because it's already been proved for 5 years. Why are we waiting for something to happen? There was another article in here, probably 2 pages back. It was again in Massachusetts. That there were 11 children that went to. I keep hearing, and I understand your position on it. I keep hearing as well. There's nothing we can do. It's legal. I'm not buying it.
Well, let's talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Jim, he just talked about the vaping, right? So
Yeah.
we're in the process of banning the flavored vapes. Why? Because
Yeah.
they're targeting kids.
Yeah.
Same thing, different products, same exact thing.
Yeah.
We allowed the menthol, we allowed normal vape products, but it's the flavored ones and the ones that are targeting kids.
And we went to 21.
And we went to 21. So
That's right.
what he's saying, which is already 21,
Yep.
does this board have the authority to regulate the way the product is displayed or looked? I mean, I understand what you're saying.
I'm not saying ban edibles.
No, I know
I'm
you're
saying
not.
it doesn't. Whoever thinks it makes common sense to make it look like candy,
Yeah, it's
is,
terrible.
Is a ridiculous.
Looks like white chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's insane.
Lollipops and gummy bears and
I know it's. Believe me, I'm appalled by it. I've been in the stores myself and made them all move them. I keep monitoring and making sure they're behind.
But those stores are the hemp, the non-THC ones.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
This isn't here yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, but even the non-ones that look like candy, they still should be behind the counter and out of reach.
Yes.
And that's something. But we can't even make a step forward, as the chairman would tell you, without facing some kind of opposition.
Like Fletcher Tilton.
Yes.
I see this.
Oh, if every that's not. There's actually on the very last page. There's you can take this home and read it. And I won't.
Oh yeah, I've read it.
But it says for policymakers. There's one paragraph there that gives you some options on what you should be looking at.
What page is that?
It's the very last page. My son put these together, but I think he might have got them. Yeah, that says for policymakers.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you. I say we look into it.
And it goes back. It goes back to this page, to the front page, right? If you look at this, it's 250 milligrams total package, right? Now I read somewhere that I think a typical berry or candy would be 10 milligrams. But when somebody grabs that package and tears it open and throws it into a lunchbox, does the kid know how many to take? And the scariest part about this, as edibles, as candy, as opposed to smoking it, is it's systemic, right? So you smoke it, you know it right away, right? If the kids are ODing on it or going to the ERs on it would have one. It takes 40 minutes typically to digest in your system. After 10 minutes, they wouldn't feel anything. They'd eat another. 10 minutes later, they'd eat another. You look at the candy, right? And they'd have 4 gummy bears. And an hour later, they're in a lot of trouble. There's no limitation. It's a packaging issue, which you certainly have control over, or it's a single-size serving issue, maybe with skull and crossbones on it or something. Or I don't know what the answers are. But this, as we get into this, I really just would like to encourage you guys to think about it.
Jim?
I think like Green Gold Group, which is down the street, which is going to have edibles, but for medical, you have to show your ID and get in, and it's 21 or older. And they do sell these products, but it's no longer the authority of the Department of Public Health. It's under the Cannabis Control Commission. So technically, it's considered retail food and not part of our inspection. So I don't even have the authority even to look at it.
So retail food, that's interesting, but that's not under the FDA then.
It's not under the authority, I'm saying, of the local Board of Health or any Board of Health in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They took it away. They excluded it from our inspection.
I would ask the board to look into that and see what your jurisdiction is as far as labeling. We're not looking to ban it. There's another article that I had. I could send you if you Google children and edibles. There's 40 stories. There was a town in Maine that just banned all edibles. The selectmen did it altogether. I'm not recommending a ban. I'm recommending, how about just making it look a little bit safer than
I
that?
agree with you. We just did it with the
We're going to
vapes.
run into a problem. There's a train coming down the tracks.
Oh, yeah.
And wouldn't it be a little bit forward thinking to kind of?
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
I serve as the chairman of the Marijuana Advisory Committee, so we've spoken about this as far as, but unfortunately, the authority does not lie within one municipality, but if it lies with the state to do something under the Cannabis Control Commission. I'm not for any kind of thing looking like a gummy bear or whatever. I'm appalled by it. But unfortunately, the governor and the state has chosen different, and they've allowed these. And I think I'm nervous about it. You're right, it is. But we don't have any in Charlton right now because they have not opened. And Green Gold Group had the Cannabis Control Commission, I believe, there today, or they were doing some kind of training because I went by. But those are not out. They will be down the street soon. But like you said, they're very, very strict. They're medical. You have to have a medical card and go in. But then it's up to the parents when they bring these home to make sure
Of course.
that they're not lapsed and someone takes them like and puts them in their lunch or whatever, because these do have THC in them.
And high potency.
Yes.
And there was one girl that I read online. It was I think it was in Colorado or something. She 10-year-old girl drank a THC infused juice box out of the refrigerator and ended up in the ER. They're even making it juice box.
I know. It's crazy.
It doesn't.
What if, through the chair, what if we contact Cheryl Savalas?
She has no authority over it.
I know that.
She can't advise us that way. I've talked to her about it before because I'm on the committee. We talk about it in the region. They've basically taken it and said, you can't inspect it.
And so, to your point about forward thinking for this board, we've been talking about it. We're trying we're trying to come up with a solution, and we're at the point where we're like saying so there's going to be medical marijuana being opened up. We want to permit that because that gives him the authority to go in when he wants, do the inspections and whatnot. And then they're talking about if you get it for medical, you're automatically going to get it for recreation.
Of course.
There's no authority for. So we're also saying that's a separate permit that this board. So we're trying, but it's not going good.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's not like we're not.
Oh no, I'm not saying you're not. I'm just trying to bring awareness to it.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
I think this is a problem coming down the pike.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000%.
When the story in Waltham, the one that when they first caught my eye, the 9-year-old, I had read that there were people protesting the opening of that place in January, so it probably opened in March, and then a 9-year-old gets sent to the ER in May.
So, again, we did it with the vaping.
Yeah.
Because it's targeting kids. I couldn't speak for this board as a whole, but I could say my consensus is the board would probably, if we thought we had the authority to ban something that's targeting for the kids, there's a very strong chance we would do it. I know the board would certainly discuss it at length to figure out what we could do. We care about it.
Well, with any I don't know as far as the licensing procedures, but you can always put conditions, right? Don't make it look like a lollipop. Don't make it look like a gummy bear. Make it look like a
full disclosure. Make it look like a marijuana cigarette or
something. Whatever.
Yeah, I hear you.
Whatever.
Yep.
It's just
scary.
We were supposed to have child-resistant packaging too. I don't know how that's working, but I haven't seen them yet. They've, like I said, I have not even seen the product yet. So.
But Steve, through the chair, you're passionate about this, which is we need more people to get passionate about this stuff. So the only thing I can suggest at this point is that you if you can find some solutions and bring them back to us.
Yeah.
We're certainly.
I think we need a court ruling.
Yeah, but we're eager to. We're on a roll here with the vaping and the other things to protect children. And I think we all agree pretty strongly that.
I just remember. Maybe you might not be old enough, but I remember in high school we had a smoking area. Did you have a smoking area in high school?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
Look at how far we've gone so far.
Yeah.
Right? In 30, 35 years.
They did. They had an area for the people to go outside and smoke.
Yeah. We had
Kids smoked in the bathroom when I was in high school.
Well, that's why they gave the smoking area.
But that was illegal.
You're right.
But
the smoking area, you were good to go.
But they made you be 18. If you were 18, you could go and smoke. Nobody did, but that was the deal.
It wasn't an ID. But anyway, look how far we've come, right? And now what are we going to do? We're going to make edible marijuana look like candy.
Yeah.
And
Well,
where elementary school kids are going to be able, they're going to get their hands on it.
Oh yeah.
It'll be accidental, but it wouldn't be accidental if it didn't look like candy.
Right. It's going to happen.
It's definitely going to happen.
I think that in that case, the parents should be charged criminally if a child gets a hold.
I think that's probably what's going to happen in that one. They said DSS was involved in that one 9-year-old case.
Because you're an adult, you bought it, and you're responsible for that now.
whoever's product
Yep.
that is should be in big trouble unless it's reported stolen or whatever.
Right. But I really think
That's
they hold,
the thing.
you hold, that's a big responsibility when you bring that home and you have children. I don't know who would do that. But
Well, same thing with Tide Pods, but when
What?
Tide Pods, when kids are eating Tide Pods, that's a joke. You know, the Tide Pods, they're saying that there's kids are eating
Tide.
Tide Pods, you know.
Oh, Tide.
The laundry detergent. Yeah, that's
Laundry detergent.
crazy.
Multicolored, it
Yeah.
looks like a
They're eating them?
Yeah.
sweet tart or something.
Yeah, but that was a joke that I said I'm not trying to ban.
I know, but I mean.
No, I'm just saying
how do you know
it's-
that?
It's a fad.
Yeah.
It's a
And like
fad.
the vaping, all the kids are.
Well, we did get gummy frogs off the street. They were selling gummy frogs, and what was it? CDM? What was it? What product was it?
CBD.
Oh.
CBD.
Locally?
Oh yeah.
They're not very happy. But
Well, wasn't it because they were from out of
because
state?
they were from Florida, not Massachusetts.
Right.
But if they were from Massachusetts and licensed and inspected, there was nothing we could do.
Then it would have been legit, but in the
Legit.
meantime, they're off the
Good
shelf.
for you. Good.
But let them fight it, and if I'm wrong later, let them prove it.
Yeah.
But
You're not wrong.
No.
Cheryl said it.
Yeah.
No, he's probably
The
right.
lawyer said it.
He's
And,
probably
It's
right.
federal law too. It's
Yeah.
not like the board just.
And then they
made
tried
this
to
up.
throw a bunch of other places under the bus. So I went to every single place they said, and none of those places had them. So,
I know. I didn't hear the incident, but I know exactly where you're talking about.
yes, it's a battle. But this board is for protecting the children
And the
against
adults.
this, and especially the vaping. And unfortunately, the state has chosen to take a hard stance on marijuana and take the control away from DPH.
And we
is
need
good.
ideas.
Yeah.
Well, but even like I said early on, they said Washington State and Colorado have since. The state has since banned 5 years later.
Right.
They just banned. They don't allow it to look like candy anymore.
I don't think they should.
They've
I was
learned. They've
shocked.
learned a lesson.
That's
In the
what
one of the
should
articles I
happen
read,
I was
said
shocked that they let them look like candy, and I think that this whole board was like, "What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Adults don't eat gummy bears."
No. No.
It's just
I think you might find you might not face that much opposition if you just took a stance at it.
This is what we got for vaping.
Yeah.
4
We
page.
got this. Did you see this? Or hear about it? So we trying to have some vaping, not just to get the stuff out, not so it's not visible. So we get this giant thing.
wonderful letter. And it took us 2 days in this office to get all the stuff together, and it continues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And it's just,
Still worth
it's just
it.
Charlton, Lowell, and Somerville.
Yes.
That's okay.
And with like that, so I gave it all to Debbie Parker because I said this is a good news story. This is big tobacco people picking on this little tiny town.
Yeah, it
And
is.
so she is
But you
going to
might
write a
get-
story about it.
But since there was 3 towns, others might chime in because you took this stance.
Yeah, they
It's
say
not.
to-
It's not. Cannabis that looks like candy is insane, and if any, the whole thought process is insane.
It is.
And common sense will prevail, but
I don't know who.
they can sell it and make money at it, do whatever they want to do with it, without need for that.
You have to die.
There's
This board has drafted regulations also, like as Matt said, for me to enforce on behalf of the board. If I feel there's something out of order or whatever, we can actually take the license away, and then they'd have to appeal to the Attorney General, and that would take time. So,
So we're trying to be proactive on it.
and there's
Maybe there's some planning board or something. Any future businesses coming in that have to
it's
agree,
been through planning.
not to do that or something. Maybe
There's a politician in Quincy who made the news within the last 2 weeks, and he is, I believe his name is John Keenan. He's from Quincy, and he's introducing a bill in the Massachusetts Senate, I believe, to ban all flavored vape sales in the entire state.
In the state.
Yeah.
That's nice.
No,
That was the
no,
best
no.
story I heard all day.
It's okay if we get too far and retract. That's all right.
And the reason why is because he said statistics have shown that for every one adult who uses flavored vapes to get off of tobacco cigarettes, for every one of those adults, there are 6 underage kids that are picking up this flavored vaping.
Absolutely.
And
And
it's
getting
highly
addicted.
addictive.
Yes.
Yeah. Highly addictive.
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Steve,
Any
thank
kind of
you.
follow-up or anything you guys wanted to go over?
I will give you my business card if you have
I
any
have it,
idea.
I have
If
it.
you have it,
I have it.
please give me a call and we'll be willing. I'll forward it to this board.
And stay with it.
So, moving on, does anybody else have any comment about that? I don't.
We'll continue to comply on behalf of the board.
Thank you.
I would ask Fletcher Tilton how many flavors of cigarettes there are. Tobacco, cigarettes. How many different flavored?
I don't think I should even call Fletcher Tilton.
No, I'm doing this to try to get
Oh,
their goat. I mean,
okay.
cigarettes have been around for 100 and something years, whatever, maybe
Yes.
longer. And it's either straight tobacco flavor or menthol, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 6,000 different flavored vapes out there. And how many? I asked them how many. What does their study show for how many kids are now addicted to flavored vapes? Kids underage kids that they're clearly targeting. They're not Fletcher Tilton, but the tobacco companies.
My wife and I were stuck in traffic, and the car in front of us was vaping, and it was just a cloud of smoke entering. We had to wind up the windows.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. It's
It's
too bad.
you know.
Can we move on?
Yep.
We can before I get myself in trouble.
Okay. You're doing good, John.
Thanks. I'm passionate about it, like Kathleen is about certain things, right, Kathleen?
Right.
I don't get angry. I have passion.
Okay.
Hey, let's talk about the Flint Road landfill mowing. I understand the guy showed up and met with Gary Magnuson.
He has a super machine.
Yeah, awesome.
It actually looks like it has like snow tracks,
Mm-hmm.
and then it levels out.
Mhm.
So when you're sitting in the cab, you're actually level, but the machine is. So Gary was quite impressed.
It's a slope mower.
Slope mower.
Following the contours, huh?
Yep.
As it goes.
And
Wow.
Gary said, "Yep, he's fine." Gary gave him the dates that he would meet him there
Mm-hmm.
to prospectively do it, and he's agreed. So Gary's okay with it.
And it's not going to scalp anything.
No, this
none of that.
machine, I've never seen a machine like it. I'm sure Matt has, but
Yeah,
it's a slope
you
machine.
can YouTube it.
Yeah,
Slope mowers.
he brought it with him,
Yeah.
so Gary could look at it.
And a lot of them are remote control too. You just
You're right. He don't even sit in it.
Yeah, it's all remote
he's
control.
just
Yeah.
remote control.
So, and I think my understanding of the board was we weren't concerned about the damage. I know we're concerned about the damage, but our concern was he going to do it for the money that he bid on it?
Mm.
You know, and we thought he was going to walk because he looked at that thing and said, "Oh no!" But if he saw it and he's on
He
board
saw
with
it.
it.
He's okay with it.
Now our concern is okay, no scalping. You know, that's our next concern.
And Gary's going to make sure that doesn't happen because
Well,
he's
that's
been,
good.
as the board requested, he's overseeing that.
No,
That's not it.
that's one, but
This thing
they
is
get
big.
some wild ones.
This is really big.
The good ones are on tracks.
Yeah.
Like that.
They get in there.
I'm Aaron Graber with Ventrac. Today,
Yeah, that's good.
So-
They get some good ones, remote controls. You see them all on like the sides of the highways on some of the videos.
So this slope mower company, though, aren't they out of Wisconsin or Minneapolis or something?
They are his home base, but he goes everywhere. He's all over Massachusetts. He's
Okay.
all over
So
Connecticut.
how does
So
he
he's just
transport
traveling
this
around.
machine? Puts
He
it in
keeps
the
it
back of
here.
the truck? He keeps it in Charlton?
No, in Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
It's about 100 miles from here, where he houses it.
So
he
he's-
transports it in the back of a...
He brought it with him. Yeah. So he brought it with him, and
So he's got jobs all over New England. He probably just sets up the dates and just dun, 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 dun.
well, that's the
Okay.
thing is he's got the proper equipment to do it quickly and appropriately. That's why he can underbid everybody, and that's why he's probably doing 300-400 of them. So,
Okay, we're gonna move on.
but Gary's happy.
Good.
Let's talk about the letter and the role of the Board of Health concerning LNG facility. I wrote a quick draft letter.
Yes, I saw it. It's here somewhere.
You guys want more or less? I don't know.
I'm trying to find
It
it.
was
Exactly.
here's, I have a copy of it right here if anybody'd like to see it.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I would
I thought I
like
had
to
a
see
copy
it.
too.
Is
Did
this
everyone see the intervener letter I sent out? I
Yeah.
drafted the intervener letter and got it to the. Actually, Gus Steve sent me the two people
Oh, yeah.
contact,
Yeah.
and I did get it out that next day.
That's very simple and short, and I'm fine with that.
So,
Yeah.
Good enough.
You know,
Yeah.
Step one.
I did see this.
I didn't see
So
it.
this
Turn out.
preserves our rights down the road without any sort of time frame?
To a site assignment, the only thing is, it's a site assignment hearing.
Yeah,
Is that what it says?
it just says we reserve the right for site assignment.
Site
For
assignment
your
hearing, I
proposed
think,
LNG
I think you
project.
need the word hearing in there, that's all.
Well, this hasn't gone out yet.
No, this is draft.
I drafted the other one. The chairman was drafting that letter. I'm sure it's, the intervener had a deadline. I don't think this has a deadline. You're just reserving the right that the Board of Health would reserve their right to have a site assignment hearing. Now, I went to one of the meetings for the planning board before the planning board as part of this so-called subcommittee, and Patsy was there and stuff. There's already having meetings that allow you as an intervener to maybe express the board's concerns, and I'm thinking maybe that it would be better for a board member than I to be on this, because you're the registered interveners, and this would I wouldn't be able to ask certain questions that an intervener would. So you could attend these, they're DNO, DPO meetings, whatever, I forget what they are, but they're actually the opportunity for the interveners and parties to ask questions. I'm not listed as an intervener, so Peter Boria was talking to me. He says, well, you should ask your board to get one of your board members that's already listed as an intervener as a planning board, so you could have the right, reserve the right to ask questions. They can't deny you.
So, I'm on board with that.
Not that I'm trying to pass anything off, but
No,
I think if
I
we're
get
going to
it.
do it, let's get a board
Let's get
member
a
who's
problem.
already an intervener, so those important questions, you'll be able to ask them.
Would either one of you
think
two
it's a good idea.
do that?
I think it would depend on days, time, place, and so
I believe, I don't know, the last meeting was on a Wednesday I went to at 6 o'clock. And we just discussed where we're going to go and what
Okay.
we should do. And everyone had some good input, Peter, myself, Patsy, but we feel that it would be better for the interveners to be on this, because I would be limited as far as asking questions and not have the authority that a board member who is an assigned intervener would have.
I don't think I can commit to it.
We're not individual interveners, we're interveners as a board.
But if you're on the special committee, I think
Right.
it would serve a better purpose that you're getting your questions answered right away directly rather than me.
Why don't you send the date to John? If you can't do it, then I will.
sure. Well, do you know when
But
the
I
next one
mean,
is?
John would be very good, I think.
I think they're setting it up now. Patsy's going to form, but she wants to ask the Board of Selectmen to appoint the committee.
Plan work committee.
The subcommittee that would serve to attend the DPO meetings. Actually go to these meetings to ask the questions directly to them.
And are the meetings here in Charlton?
These would be different meetings. It'd almost be like a hearing.
Yeah, okay.
And that's what Peter Boria said. These are almost like hearings. He's been to them before, I guess. That if you had a board member there, would probably better serve this board as a Board of Health, where I wouldn't be able to ask those questions that the board assigned intervener would be able to represent the board. You're a board member, and you'd be able to ask any question you feel necessary.
Okay, so that makes sense.
And this is only until they have a state assignment board. What were the names? There are two guys that were there at the auditorium.
Yeah, they're going to have they already considered the past two meetings, because they had a stenographer there,
Right,
that they were already
official meetings.
two official meetings. So there's going to be another official meeting, but I think this is where the opportunity where anyone that's on that committee is going to be able to stand up and say, what about this, 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 and this? And I think that would be more essential for a board member. That way or not, you're an intervener already. I'm not an intervener. I can't be.
Right.
So I wouldn't be able to
I would
ask
just be
questions.
adhering to that.
I want to talk about that.
Okay. What I've got in the minutes, or what the injury put in the minutes is, we made a motion to have a site assignment meeting, but I think it was a hearing.
So, I'm not an expert at this at all, so the language, and if we have to get it right, let's get it right, because I agree with you. But my understanding of the site assignment was, if the board wants to regulate certain items on there, you can do it. So, for example, when Casella was installed in or took over Southbridge, the Southbridge Board of Health had site assignment, and they gave a list of 43
58 conditions.
58 conditions. So that's why I'm not sure it's just a hearing. It would be like an order of conditions through this
Okay.
board.
That
And that's
sounds more like a site assignment itself, not just
site
a
assignment.
hearing.
Right.
You need a
Site
stenographer,
assignment.
attorney on both sides. You need a hearing officer. I think that's the same thing that's going to happen if one of these board members attends these meetings. It's sort of put together that way.
Okay.
So, but again, I'm not an expert at it, so I certainly don't have the slightest clue where to begin on the correct terminology in the protocol to get it right. But I know there's more to the story.
I can change it for you if you'd like.
Well, we just want to get it right.
You reserve the right to have a site assignment hearing. Site assignment. A site assignment means the same thing. If you want a hearing or whatever, it just gives the board, it reserves the right later. But I think these DPO, whatever they call these meetings, that I can't remember what Pete said they were. They have the same purpose as like a site assignment.
I guess what I'm saying though is if this board says this facility's coming to Charlton, but the
Mhm.
board has the power to make them do X, Y, and Z, and if this board decides, in fact, we want you to do X, Y,
Sure, you
and Z,
need to reserve that right.
we want to be able to do that.
Well, we want to reserve the right to talk to them about it.
And set
Can't
conditions.
necessarily
Yeah, and set conditions.
We can't
Yeah.
set the conditions unless we have reason to set them.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. So it all starts with going to the meetings and
yeah,
knowing what's going on.
but this gives us a little wedge, so that if we do get desperate and then all the intervening stuff doesn't work,
You're right. I
we
agree.
can say, hey, we think there's a significant health hazard to the citizens of Charlton, and we want to have a hearing or a meeting about it anyway. We would have to prove it, or prove the probability of it happening. But I mean, at least this is something.
It's something. I'm just trying to think of how we want, and I have no problem putting the right
Well,
to.
I can text Kirsty Pesci.
Mhm.
So, I'm not sure.
Kirsty.
Kirsty Pesci.
Pesci, and ask her for the.
It's basically what she said in the meeting, and what it is. It's a site assignment hearing. And the Board of Health
That's what I
reserves the
thought
right.
she said.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
I think
for now,
we
let's
could-
add hearing to this
Yeah,
and send it off.
yeah. I will.
Okay.
Can you just
John,
write
you
it in
guys
there,
ready?
Matt, and then
Yes.
I'll have Andrea change it because I'm not in tomorrow.
And then Matt can sign it. I mean, can't sign it.
She can scan it.
You want to see it one last time?
No, I'm good, thank you.
One last time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put that in the to be
Purple
signed
folder.
Is that fine with you?
Yeah.
Put it in there, yeah. And what it is, I'll speak to Andrea in the morning. And we did send those letters out certified to,
Yeah.
as you asked,
Yeah.
the next for the intervener. But
Andrea, I put that in the purple please sign Board of Health folder. Do you guys want to discuss LNG facility more than that,
No, I'm good with that.
John?
No, but Jim, if you do find out when the next meeting is, just let me know.
I will make sure you get that.
Okay,
Yep. And I'll send it to both of you, you and Kathleen,
okay.
and you guys can decide who can make it.
Well, basically,
You want
John
John?
can try to make it if you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You really can't, then.
I thought,
All right.
John,
See if I
I thought
can.
John was going to make a motion to have Kathleen do it.
No.
I already.
I can't commit. I just can't.
A little busy these days, are we? Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough hours in the day already. Shall we move on to the discussion about the vaping and the tobacco
Yep.
part of that? So I know Cheryl Sabara reached out to us and she wanted to know why we were splitting it up.
Right.
And
She was confused why it had to be two separate regs.
And what I wrote back was that I thought it was two separate regs because we wanted to do two separate things.
yeah, sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did send it to her right away.
okay.
Yep.
And
Now I
that's
have
all.
to send it. Now I have to send it to these people.
Okay.
But I did ask her.
I
So
mean, basically, we had a different agreement on the tobacco than we did on the vaping.
The only thing is, we never really finalized on the vaping because it wasn't clean. The paperwork itself wasn't clean. There was still
We didn't sign off on it.
We didn't sign it.
I did send her off your concerns,
Mhm.
and she's going to get
Okay.
back. She did get back to me today, wondering,
In,
but she didn't have time to.
in the meantime, if Fletcher, if he wants to see the draft regs, by all means, he can see the draft regs, especially if you give them to him.
He has them.
With the, so
We had no choice.
that's fine. And not all of them say draft, do they?
Not all of them, no.
No, that's
Because I left the ones that you wrote on
yeah.
to make sure we're accurate.
Kathleen, discussion?
No, I'd just like to get it signed.
I think
John?
Yeah, I think the sooner the better, because we're looking at an October 1st deadline for getting this out, right? So we're still good, I think, because I think the one store owner from Charlton Gulf, said 3 months should be ample time for them to bleed down their inventory so that they weren't left with trying to sell back unused product for the most part.
Well, I've been going to the stores and making them make sure that their stuff is locked, not in reach, and they had some of those CBD oil stuff. I said it still needs to be behind the counter, so they moved them. I called the owner and he said, "Absolutely right. I'm sorry. I apologize. They should be behind the counter."
Yeah.
So, I'll call. Cheryl might. It's a bad week because of 4th on Thursday, so I don't know if we'll get in touch with her. She did contact me today, but I'll get them as soon as I can, so the board can look at them as a final draft, based on the comments that we received today.
Okay, Jim, now it's your turn.
Okay. Inspected all the camps. We've had. It was quite busy. I've been spending a lot of time Camp Joslin because of it's a specialty camp, and the state stepped in and said that the doctors were exceeding some of their authority and the delegation of authority to a student nurse. So they've hired full-time nurses at an astronomical amount of cost. It's not something that is a local authority. It's the authority of the doctor, so it would be their license if anything happened there. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why it came forward like that. But these doctors are Harvard-educated endocrinologists, specialized in. But the state stepped in, Janet Ferguson, and we had a hearing, and they said directly to the physicians that you risk your medical license in this case. So that you're not allowed to do this. So they're looking at changing some of the regs. They've exempt teachers in schools and stuff like that, but they did not exempt these camps. So they're looking at trying to do that. So there's only one camp left to do, Capon Hill, but she hurt herself and had to cancel her appointment. She sort of fell and has a medical issue, but I'm not too worried about that one. I've already been by there, and Treehouse actually helped her out and took care of the lawn maintenance and stuff, I guess.
That was a good neighbor.
That's good.
Yeah, they're a good
She's
neighbor
had
to
a
her.
lot
Yeah, she's Barb's a
So
wonderful
what-
person.
I don't understand what the state is upset with her about.
Because they said that third-year medical students who are not yet licensed as a nurse cannot be delegated authority by the doctor to do an invasive procedure or administration of insulin.
Oh,
It's
but
beyond
then-
their
but it's
scope
not
of duties.
It's not like Jocelyn Camp.
It is Camp Joslin.
I'm getting mixed up now.
Camp Joslin is strictly for male
Is Cape and
diabetics.
Hill. You talking about Cape and Hill or
No,
Jocelyn?
I was just talking. I'm sorry, I probably confused you. Cape and Hill is the last camp that I have inspected yet. Camp Joslin is the one that
Camp
has,
Jocelyn's the one for
diabetics.
the diabetics,
Yep.
right?
and this is
So-
the one I've had meetings all winter about.
Right.
About the change in the camp regulations. The camp regulations were rewritten.
Right.
So Steve Hughes and Dave Williams, who are the directors of the Department of Public Health, So we've drafted new regulations regarding this, and the things that happen at the two specialty camps. The females go to Camp Barton, which is in Oxford, which is a mile and a half down the road, and the males go to Camp Joslin in Charlton.
Right. What's this got to do with Cape and Hill?
Nothing.
Nothing. I'm sorry, I confused you, and I
Okay.
apologize.
He said
All
the
right.
last camp to do was Cape and Hill. That's the only camp he hasn't inspected yet.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
But
I'm all
Camp
set.
Joslin is okay. They've hired nurses.
Right, no.
But Camp Joslin, the director fell and was.
Diabetes, insulin at Cape and Hill.
Well, it affects everyone because if you're a diabetic and you want to go to Camp Foskett, technically they need a nurse there. You can't go.
Right.
So what they've done is singled out people or children that have disabilities and not allowed to go to a camp unless it's a specialty camp.
Oh, okay.
Which
How's
I don't.
Camp Foskett?
Camp Foskett's good. I was there. They've had their training. They've had some issues, but the geese have all gone. So there's a big thing there. There's a lot of swimming going on. So I'm more worried about children swimming, and we do the test with the ring and make sure the 4 feet down is okay. They have a lot of lifeguards, but the geese has been taken care of by one of the residents on the lake. Wasn't supposed to, but they don't have any more geese. So.
I'm just asking. My kids are going there. I want to make sure
No,
everything's
it's good. Actually,
came to Cape and Hill.
make sure you give your kids some money so they can buy an ice cream, because every time I go there and kids that don't have ice cream, it costs me a lot of money because I buy them all ice cream. Because I don't agree with some kids having ice cream and some kids not. I said that you ought to get someone to donate and give it to everybody, because there's a group of kids sitting over there with no ice cream while all these kids are eating ice cream. I said, what kind of example is that setting? So I said, everybody that have ice cream, come on. So I bought them ice cream.
Well, that was nice of you.
To keep that up, you're not going to be able to afford a new house.
I can't anyway. But I defined it that someone would donate if you found for the YMCA camp, or don't have ice cream at all if you can't give it to every kid.
I donate in 2 seconds.
Yep, I did donate one in about 2 seconds.
I do for the entire camp.
It's. I just find it just sets a precedent that the kids that can't afford it, and then there's kids that can, and you separate them. And it's not. That's not what camp's about. Camp is supposed to be unified.
Right.
Well, as an adult, I mean, as a parent,
Yeah,
sometimes the ice cream isn't about one having it and one not having it.
you're right.
There's more of the story. One child may have been naughty and doesn't
Sure.
deserve the ice cream.
I agree.
Sometimes if it's a certain time of the day, the sugar's not good for the. So there's a whole.
I
It's
agree.
also parental discretion.
And I did ask, because anyone has an issue of medical, they're supposed to know that, and they said no. And so I didn't get any calls from parents.
I was going to say, I'd be the guy that donates and say, I'm sorry, I just might get ice cream.
Yeah. So, but
That's all
and
right.
also our public health nurse, our funds from the Davidson Fund and the Pickering Fund have run out.
Okay.
We were using some extra money from the Davidson Fund,
Mm-hmm.
but since we've had issues that were beyond our control with Baypath,
Mm-hmm.
we had to send out notices to every single student. Had to go home with the parents, every single teacher. We've had a lot of cases that I won't talk about in public that have cost us board money, and we're out of funds. So I have to write a letter to obtain more funds for a public health nurse. We thought we were going to be able to make it one more year, and it's not going to make it.
Who do we write the letter to?
We'd have to go to FinCom.
Oh, FinCom, okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
And it's
what
not-
we gonna do, what we gonna do?
And it's like not something I've actually switched and saved the town. Otherwise, we would have been paying the
A lot more.
$14,000 a lot more. We got away with it with $3,000 and $4,000 this year. It was actually a little more because we can't control the events that happen.
John, were you on the board when we did that? When we switched?
From Harrington to Cheryl Berlinski,
Yes.
it went
You were on
from
the board.
14,000 down to 38
Yeah, that was
to
just
4.
a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Huge
yeah.
difference.
Huge difference. And now Harrington doesn't even do it anymore.
Same
Right,
coverage.
Yeah, yeah, that was just a
Same
few
coverage,
years.
no loss of anything. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to go and explain to them that I don't have any control over this. And there's certain things I can't tell them that we have a public health nurse as required. We need to maintain the funds, and I have to ask for additional funds.
Yeah.
So
So be it, and it's legit, and it's not abused.
not at all. As a matter of fact, I think we've saved the town probably $20,000-$30,000 in the last 3 years.
I know we have.
Easily. So I will have to ask that, so I will draft a letter. I'll show the board what I'm going to ask for. And also the funding for Gary, we're down to $31,000. We're going to need some more money.
for fiscal 2020.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Are you gonna go to FinCom yourself? Because we can go with you too.
yeah, if I need a board member to come, but I've been to FinCom before and asked for additional funding. I believe there's some other funding that was approved that a board attended, that there was extra monies that were handed out. Remember, you all went for Gary because there were additional NPC work that needed to be done, and I don't know if that was included in the funding we have. I'll have to find out. We have we have $31,000 left. That's not going to make it through. So it sounds like a lot of money, but not when it's $8,000-9,000 a whack. And now we have a third-party independent inspector that is required. So it's going to run out quick.
Yeah. And again, what we're talking about is all DEP regulated. This board has no say as to what we
this
do.
is not. You can fund it if you want. You have to fund it.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to face fines.
We're going to face the fines and still have to, and then
And
still
still
have
have
to
to
come
do
into
it.
compliance.
You're right.
Right.
So I'm going to draft a letter to FinCom for both. I'll let the board look at it, and if a board member would like to attend a FinCom meeting with me,
And there's more of the story too, because this board, you in particular, and as well with the fire department, have reached out and gotten grant money.
Oh, yes.
Lots of grant money.
Yep.
And if we become non-compliant in certain things like the landfill or whatever, that grant money we're not even going to be eligible for.
No,
So
and we just received more grant money to repair our trailer and to clean our trailer. I received another grant. The check should be here probably tomorrow, and the whole trailer is going to be cleaned, new tires, fix the top, and everything inside cleaned out because it sits in a musty trailer.
Yep.
And it really, the last time we opened it, I said it smells a little musty and moldy. So we have Servpro. Is going to come in and clean the whole thing. The trailer is going to be fixed, new tire put on it, and we're going to move forward on that. So, and I did get a grant for all that's costing the town no money. So,
Good.
Okay.
Jim, what else you have?
that's it.
All right, so I'd like to discuss the next meeting. Today's the 2nd of July. If we were to meet, say, 3 weeks, that puts us at July 23rd. How does that work for you?
As far as I know, right now, it's fine.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you're going away and Kathleen's going away, but so 23rd.
I'll be back. Yeah, I'm going and coming, but I'll be around here on the 23rd.
So let's tentatively just go for that date then. Next meeting will be the 23rd of July. Subject to change if we need to.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, next meeting July 23rd, Andrea, 6 p.m.
My son Taylor was a complete angel tonight.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know he was even here. Where is he?
He happened to fall asleep at 6:05.